not sure if this is one topic or just random neurons being fired off in all directions. I said I would revisit old topics, and I will. But lately, I just can't seem to get out of my own head. Ordinarily, it's just mindless, meaningless thought vomit that doesn't really serve any real purpose.
So in season 1 of True Blood, Suki tells Vampire Bill about a dream she had of him bursting into flame when exposed to the sun. He explained to her that that wouldn't happen because the sun would severely weaken him before he would eventually die.
Why do some people pronounce the plural women as the singular woman? Oh, Jesus, young people calling my early years the late 1900s. They're right.
And then, in the season 1 finale, he voluntarily walked into the daytime and slowly turned into a crispy critter, but didn't burst into flame and therefore survived meeting the sun.
Does the internet make people dumber, or does it make dumb people louder? Why do Brits use the past tense sat as a present participle? As in, you're just sat there. It's sitting.
Then, in season 2, the 2,000-year-old vampire Godric chose to meet the sun and burst into a lovely blue flame after explaining that it wouldn't take long for him to die at his age, implying that the sun becomes deadlier to vampires as they get older.
Am I really the only person who liked Jared Leto's Joker? When is somebody going to recreate London After Midnight using AI?
But if that's true, then why did baby vampire Steve Newland burst into flame after being forced into the sun in season 6? The show lost control of its continuity.
Oh my God. I'm comic book guy. But a lot of it is nonstop daydreaming and self-absorbed introspection, which on the surface doesn't really sound so bad. Although I don't respond as often as I should to comments because, mental health. I do pay attention, and I do see some of you encouraging me to talk about why the world is burning rather than just keep mentioning that we're on a runaway train careening off the side of a cliff. And maybe I should, but I'm not gonna. I do need to be present, and right now I very much don't want to be. I want to fall back into the fluffy bed in my head that has no time for anything but special interests, Halloween, and Dexter spinoffs. But I promised I wouldn't keep doing that, and I struggle every day to fight the urge like a drug addict. And if I start talking about the things that keep me in despair, for lack of a better word, I will eventually just take a metaphorical flying leap. So, no, I'm not going to discuss LA, DC, and Chicago being under siege by our own government, or Second Amendment jarheads rolling their eyes at dead children and denying that guns are the cause of gun violence, or billionaire sex pests being shielded by a criminal DOJ, or thousands of people snatched off the streets and disappeared and or deported without due process. And I am especially not going to talk about Israel committing genocide against the Palestinians. Look, if you really want to know what I think that we, as a country, a society, a generation, are cooked. For good this time. Or at least for the rest of my lifetime. And I honestly believe that there is no hope for complete recovery or true reconciliation. Whatever feelings of normalcy and security we once enjoyed in the past, no matter how minimal or forced, they're gone for good. And chaos is our new normal, and disaster is our inevitable fate. The extremely codependent, loveless marriage between the right and the left in this country is permanently over, as we no longer have anything in common that we value. Certainly not the Constitution or having a strong democracy and a collective rejection of fascism, and definitely not human life. And I know that I've already rambled on enough about it, but the truth is, just talking about it makes it worse for me. So, no, there are plenty of other commentators who do a far better job of it, and they're probably in a far better headspace for it. I take these topics to a dark place, and I have no desire to take any of you with me. So how are you? All things considered, are you okay? And I realize that it's super awkward and weird for me to avoid that question, but it's important to feel connected. I spend way too much time in my own head, as I said before, and I do not check in. And then I have the audacity to feel ignored and forgotten. At the risk of triggering a parasocial relationship, my audience is largely male, going by the analytics. And from what I've seen, the fellas often feel overlooked and oppressed because many of you have been brought up to swallow your emotions. And that sort of mentality is not only unhealthy, it also leaves you extremely vulnerable to toxic, manipulative, grifting, criminal motherfuckers in the manosphere who will spoon feed you a bunch of lies about how women and feminism are the source of all your problems, but they can teach you how to be the alphas and take back your life for a couple $1,000. That only happens because we don't stay connected to our fellow human beings, even strangers. From a safe distance, of course. I'm not delusional. I'm still a female, and some of you truly are insane. So, are you okay? Or are you not okay? Are you stressed and tired and constantly putting all your energy and concentration into not slipping into an existential pit of despair and loneliness? Because I'm feeling that. And being stuck and needy, for lack of a better word, can sometimes make bad ideas look good. Or worse yet, we become so addicted to the misery that we don't know who we are without it. Or maybe we fall prey to magical thinking and hold on to stupid ideas even though they never pan out in reality. We are not immune to that, no matter how smart you are or think you are. I am the child of two educated, extremely intelligent, thinking atheists who met in a cult. That is not hyperbole. A real, serious, mind-jacking, dumb as bricks cult. That is a story for another day. But the point is, we are all susceptible to falling for stupidity when circumstances leave a big gaping hole in our psyche. So instead of grasping onto supernatural nonsense like religion, or paranormal nonsense like spiritualism, or conspiracy theory nonsense like vaccines somehow being worse than diseases, we often get caught up in things that a clearer head can see as trouble a mile away. So yeah, I'm checking in because staying connected keeps us tethered to reality, even when it's easier to just tune it all out. So go ahead, get self-absorbed, talk about how you feel, get deep into it, get elbow deep into it. Analyze the shit out of yourselves. It's not weakness. Weak is being too scared to be authentic for fear of judgment. It's time to let that shit go. It's starting to make me look old. Okay, I'll go first. Lately, I've been getting very short-tempered at even the smallest things. And it worries me because even in the moment, I'm aware that my outbursts have little to do with whatever is triggering them. And I think it's because I feel caged, stuck in a world that's burning and feeling totally powerless to help. And that feeling is dangerous. One of my favorite shows during the aughts was House, starring Hugh Laurie, who played the drug-addicted genius diagnostician with the world's worst bedside manner. And the general formula for each episode is the patient of the week presents with symptoms of some baffling disease that normal doctors can't figure out. And House and his team cycles through all the wrong answers until the correct answer just dawns on him at the end of the episode. Now, one particular episode was about a kickboxing student who started coughing up blood. Now, long story short, the diagnosis was she made herself sick by attempting to end herself. You fucking YouTube. Why can't we just say without risking being demonetized? Why do we have to play these stupid games with euphemisms? Who are you doing this for? This is an important topic that advertisers should want to remove the stigma surrounding it. Who is benefiting from torpedoing the incentive to even discuss it? Who are you being woke for? Never mind. When House asked her why she did it, her answer was so crushing in its simplicity. She had never been happy. I've mentioned in the past that my ASD presents in a way that makes it difficult for me to recognize my own emotions. And when I first saw that episode, it made me wonder if I had ever been happy. And obviously, I don't mean fleeting happiness, like being in a good mood, but being a happy person in general, being satisfied with life, being glad to be alive. And I honestly couldn't say if I was, because I genuinely didn't know. I'd like to think that I am because I have a really good life. But if I'm happy, why am I always stuck in my head? Why am I always ruminating over every single thing that I've ever done, or more so, what I have never done? Why is my mind always spitting out, why didn't I? Why didn't I finish higher education? Why didn't I re-enlist? Why didn't I pursue the performing arts? Why didn't I apply for that better position? Why didn't I go to prom? Why didn't I stay in touch? Why didn't I show more initiative? Why didn't I tell him how I felt? Is there anything in this life but regret? You see, instead of doing the hard, sticky work of tackling the deep-seated crybaby childhood trauma that keeps me in a perpetual state of self-loathing, it's easier to pretend that I'll be happy forever once I achieve all my goals. Getting that perfect job, getting down to that perfect weight, selling my house and doing the RV nomad lifestyle, getting a 700 credit rating, becoming debt-free, getting 1 million subscribers, getting rid of the cellulite. Focus on the trivial shit that will never fix anything beyond the superficial. I know this. But it's still hard to let it go because it's strangely comforting. It presents the illusion of control and something to keep going for. I can just get there if I don't give up. That'll make all the crooked straight. Yeah, I still cling to that sometimes. But then I remember what happened to Cheslie Kryst. And you might be thinking, who is Cheslie Kryst? Simply put, Cheslie Kryst was everything I could never be in my most ambitious dreams. She was the embodiment of perfection, educated, accomplished, insanely beautiful. She came from a happy, close-knit family. She excelled in high school. She had an active social life. She had been a track star. She graduated cum laude with an undergrad in marketing and HR, and then graduated with a Juris Doctor and an MBA from law school. In between her schooling, she started doing pageants, which I do not approve of because pageants are in fact the worst. But one cannot help but be kind of impressed by the fact that she basically knocked it out of the park every single time she competed. After placing top 10 in the Miss North Carolina competition twice, she won in 2019. The following year, she won Miss USA. Later that same year, she placed top 10 in Miss Universe. And when she wasn't fulfilling pageantry duties, she was busy being a rock star lawyer, even working pro bono for low-level drug offenders. And when she wasn't doing that, she was an Emmy-nominated correspondent for the tabloid TV show Extra. Not to mention that she had the most gorgeous head of hair that just defines hair goals. At least for me anyway. Overachiever doesn't begin to define what she was. A woman who accomplished everything she ever set her mind to. On January 20th, 2022, Cheslie jumped to her death from her high-rise, offensively overpriced Manhattan apartment building. Turns out that having everything you could ever want, even that which is obtained through genuine hard work and talent, doesn't mean jack shit if you never fix what's really wrong with you. I can't imagine what she found fault within herself, but clearly something was deeply broken in her mind that she could find no better alternative to escape the hopeless despair she obviously felt. Now, don't get nervous. I am nowhere near that level of dissatisfaction, let alone extreme depression. I bring this up because her death proved to me, finally, that I'm wasting my time with distractions. All this posturing and people-pleasing and perfectionism just to avoid talking. So talk. I've been watching a lot of psych videos lately. So, if any of this rambling resonated with you, put a peach in the comments and make sure you give some love to the algorithm by liking this video. If you're already subscribed, hit the bell notification so you can always catch when I upload. And if you're not subscribed, then I hope I've inspired you to change your mind. I'm Peach. I love you all. Not really. And I'll see you again soon. It's aluminum, who played the drug-addicted genius Diagnostician. Genius diagnostician.